there, guys. It's gonna be live there. You
This is
keep
bonus
catching up.
content, right, for our internet viewers.
Yeah, sure. Oh, are we doing the bonus content now? We're not doing the live stuff yet.
Oh, I don't know. I
Oh,
forget.
I went in doing like, all right, so like now, should we start the radio bit over? Should we just do this? Is just a fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so fine. This is we're gonna do a do over. We're gonna like pick a moment in a second to be like, all right, this is the radio show now. This is serious. It's all serious. But wherever you're listening today, though, thank you all the online audiences. You guys get to listen to the live show because Tim and I are busy working. And actually, I don't have to work tomorrow. So
I gotta work.
well, sort of. I'm gonna have to do some stuff I didn't do today. My kid was on quarantine for COVID again, so I'm I didn't exactly take the day off. I was just like, hey, I'm watching my kid. I'll work a little bit later, and I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna catch up on stuff.
We're grinding. I got some year-end deadlines. It's driving me crazy. I hate deadlines, but they gotta happen. They gotta get things gotta get done. So
Oh,
there we go.
Robert. Yeah, federal government can't solve COVID. State issue. Thanks, Joe Biden, for joining our show here. No, I talked about that. We can talk about that. So here's what we're gonna do. Like you folks listening online, I see a few of you popping in here, right? Like we're gonna talk about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial stuff, right? And then we're gonna talk about some like year in review stuff, and we're gonna do fake news, right? So if you guys have any stuff that you think we need to highlight for the year in review, biggest events, most overhyped events, like best,
anything
worst,
you guys,
whatever.
I'm
Let us know. We'll talk about it during the actual radio bits.
Yeah. We got to get that going. I goofed up. I lost my train of thought. Right. Imagine that.
I just whatever. It's fine. So this is the good thing. Like, it's not like a real live show. So like we get to like say like, no, Mulligan, we'll do it over.
I love Mulligans.
Right. And that's, and I'm pre-recording a show this weekend with a dude who used to work at Facebook, and I've done another show with him in the past before.
Cool.
But I told him, he's like, oh yeah, like should I do a live show? Because I was thinking about pitching that to him, but last time I had him on, like he dropped a bunch of F-bombs in the show. I'm like, I'm super glad I didn't have you live, bud.
Oof.
I
love that.
Super smart guy, but like he's
you got to tell people
right?
how you
think
feel
about it.
Sometimes. And
that's right. Sometimes that's what you
without
do.
Swear words, I don't know how we do it. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I get it. But I've had to train myself. If I'm in front of this mic, it means one of two things. Either I'm on the radio show usually, or I'm at work. And so just don't drop the F-bombs. Like I train myself not to do it.
You're a good man.
Can't do it. No, I can't. We don't have a delay. We can't do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So anyway, we should start the actual show now.
Let's do it.
We'll start the actual show. We'll say it starts at 5 minutes, so that way I can have a nice even time to keep track of what we want to do. So we'll do that 5 minutes.
All right.
But again, you folks out there listening, we're gonna do like year in review type of stuff. An event you want to talk about, anything from 2021, you let us know, and we'll chat about it.
William.
Love it, William.
All right, 8 seconds though.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim O'Connor.
The Freedom Variant.
Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution, whether you're listening on WYSL, WACK out in New York, or any of the places that we're streaming online right now. Happy Friday, folks. Oh, yes, it's Friday. Don't believe anyone who tells you otherwise. They're fake news. And so it's the last day of the year. It is New Year's Eve. And, so Tim and I were going to, we're going to do a little bit of year in review stuff, talk about like some of the biggest things that happened over the course of the year, maybe some of the most overhyped things. And of course, because it's Friday, we're going to talk about some fake news too. We got some good fake news for you today. At least I got a good couple stories. I hope you do too, Tim. But yeah, Shit, you're nodding your head. The radio audience can't see you nodding your head, but it's all right.
I'll see what I can come up with the magic of the internet
Yeah, Tim's like, oh
express
shoot,
option.
I gotta Google that right
Yeah.
now. It's all right, folks. Can we get what? But speaking of big news stories, though, like one of the things that we did want to talk about though is the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. His big thing verdict came in. She got convicted on all but one of the things that she was charged with. Sex trafficking of underage girls. Yeah, I mean, I think some people. Yeah,
it's
what's
illegal.
It's illegal.
I remember when it was just a conspiracy theory, Kevin, that these guys, this was just bad talk about our politicians, that they would never ever participate, that they would not hide their convictions, that they would decline to prosecute their buddies and their friends. And now here we are, finally a conviction. Guys, did Epstein kill himself? Did he?
That's up in the air. I know some people are like, oh yeah, no, it's your conspiracy theories. You think like, maybe like he didn't kill himself. I don't know, man. That's pretty sketchy. Cameras go out. He's on suicide watch. The guards, suddenly are asleep on the job.
Just happened.
That's a lot of weird coincidences to happen. He happens to, be involved in, sex trafficking and connected with some of the richest, most powerful people in the world.
Yeah. People were telling me at first he's still alive, though, that they snuck him out.
I've seen that. So like that's type of stuff we can't prove. But like what is actually happened is that his partner in a lot of this, and the person who had connected with him, connected him with like these young women who were trafficked, and kind of pressed into these coercive situations. Yeah, she actually got convicted. I know a lot of people were surprised. Like a lot of people, I think, genuinely expected, like, okay, like the rich and powerful gonna get away with another one, right?
Oh yeah.
And like again, this whole situation's wild because like if you had told me a decade ago, like, oh yeah, like there's like a child sex trafficking ring, and like there may be some connections to like the most rich and powerful people in the world. I'm like, okay, like you need to shut off the Alex Jones a bit, like calm down.
You're like, turn it down,
calm down. And but man, it actually happened. Like that's okay, yeah. So if there's evidence of something happening like this, like I could change my mind, and it looks like it did. Now, so the next big thing, so she's gonna get some sort of sentence for this. We don't really know what it is. The punishment's gonna be like found guilty. Cool, that's a good start. So next steps though, right? It's like okay, so she was connected with a lot of these folks that were maybe using their services. Who are they? The pilot dropped names like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, whatever, Prince Andrew.
Well, all of them, bro. All of them were going there. Bill Gates. I mean, the names that were on those flight logs. All of them.
Yeah. So like that type of like
it's like a party thing, man. They would just go there. They would party. They weren't thinking about it, but then they would be giving this clown leverage, right?
Yeah, right. Like it is worth continuing to try to figure out what happened there, right? Like with, like, because I'm sure some people, like the guy threw a bunch of parties and it's just like a rich people party. You get invited to this thing, you get told they're cool parties, whatever. You show up, nothing happens, but suddenly you're, in the background of picture. Like some of those folks, like I'm not sure that they actually did anything wrong, but a few of them, again, if you're on the plane with them and you're hanging out on his island, on Epstein's island, and I kind of want to know what was going on there with those folks. I think that's now, and I know part of the trial, like we
know what was going on, Kevin. We know.
Yeah, well, yeah, thinking what's going on and proving that in a court of law to find a guilty conviction are two very different things, right?
That could be, but yeah,
right? Like I can
what was going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can like speculate like all day, right? But
be glad to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, right? Like if you want any actual justice, right? Like the people I would like to think that like the people who are involved in the justice system, and I'm a little bit cynical about the justice system, but if they actually want to get a conviction, they have to go out, collect the evidence, and find a way to go after these folks without getting sued or gag ordered into oblivion, right? And so that brings up the topic of like the black book that the Ghislaine Maxwell had, and was like kind of listed as evidence that wasn't made public, right? Which
Correct.
makes you wonder, like, okay, well, why was that? And like,
Because of who it like implicated in this sex trap. That's why. Like I know we want to step away from that kind of thinking, like writing it off as a conspiracy. But the reality is that this whole story was a conspiracy, and now there's a conviction. So
yeah,
when they're saying laptops are missing, when they're saying hard drives are missing, when they're saying all sorts of things are missing that
well,
were in evidence at one point.
so what I understood about that is that basically, like, that was stuff that they didn't like exactly have permission to collect, but and then the stuff they did have permission to collect, like they have to return it after they collect whatever evidence they're supposed to collect off of it, right? Like that's
Right.
you're supposed to return the property. Okay, we've looked through these computers, we found what we're gonna find, and that's either used or not used in a trial. If I'm being optimistic about this, and I don't know that I in any way the justice system deserves this sort of optimism. If I'm being optimistic about this, though, right, I would like to think, okay, this evidence wasn't revealed in court because there was enough other evidence to convict this person for these crimes, and that is going to be some level of justice. And if they had opened up this book and it had powerful names in there, like the Donald Trumps, the Bill Clintons, the Prince Andrews, the Bill Gateses, whatever, they had those names in it, and that came out in court, and suddenly all these folks are going to be spending buckets of money and get an army of lawyers to try to discredit this whole thing and like jeopardize the conviction itself and tie up the whole process in court longer. I would like to think that they didn't do that because they didn't need it for conviction and that
Eh,
they are building a case against the other people.
all
Now,
right. So
who knows if that's going to happen, but I would like to think like, okay, this is the start of a trail to go and find more evidence if these folks were involved in
I
some of the
used to
nasty
I
business that
used
they're
to be
involved in.
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed just like you, Kevin. I used to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, and they played me, man. They played me over and over again, year after year. That they dismiss you as a conspiracy theorist, and then all of a sudden it's dumped in your lap that it's reality. So I love your bright-eyed and bushy-tailed optimism, but I'm afraid being I'm a skeptic. The freedom variant is skeptical about
I'm
this.
very skeptical. Yeah, I totally get your skepticism. I get it. I hope that what happens is that this is just like they're not doing it because this is a start of building actual cases and they don't want to spook folks or they don't want to, end up jeopardizing their case or getting evidence destroyed ahead of time because like people are going to get spooked and hopefully because again there does seem to be some actual connection here with some of these folks, whether or not they did anything like criminal or immoral, I'm not sure, but hopefully there are people who care enough about getting justice in this situation and holding people accountable that they are pursuing it right now. We'll see.
Sure, I love that idea. And look, I want that to be true too. Okay. Like and my entire life I was an optimist. And now I feel I think that the government response to COVID, the Epstein not killing himself in his cell, like these things have I'm almost getting to be a cynic, Kevin. And I just
Yeah.
pull me back from that ledge, brother. I just don't think you
Well,
can. It's
so we don't have a ton of time to talk about this before the break, but I'll give my quick take on conspiracy theories generally before and government generally before we come back or after we come back. So thanks
yeah.
again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. And all right, yeah.
All right, so you bonus internet viewers out there, give us some things from 2021 you want to rehash.
Yeah. Seeing a couple of comments out there. We'll
They're rolling today.
yeah. Let's see.
We got the inflation one we can handle. Like this is the worst inflation in a couple of decades.
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
So we'll talk about inflation. We'll probably have to talk about COVID stuff. Maybe we could talk about the January 6th stuff. We could talk about we'll talk about actually for the first time in a long time, rising poverty. It's a thing.
Inflation helps that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
People are
So
impoverished.
Yeah, all right. So we'll come back at 16.
All right, sounds good.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, host for today, joined by Tim O'Connor, Tim the Freedom Variant O'Connor. There we
The
go. Yeah, no,
freedom
I'm getting it.
variant.
I'm getting it. So again, we're talking about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. We're talking about we're going to be talking about your interview stuff. Real quick, like my thought on conspiracy theories is most of the time I don't think that people in governments are competent enough to pull off like major cover-ups. Every once in a while actually happens, but for the most part I don't trust like the ability of people to project manage effectively enough to pull off some of the massive conspiracies that people talk about, because people like to talk about stuff.
No, I think that's great, but I want to point out that their desires themselves can encourage the possibility of not a cooperative conspiracy, but acts that are not in the public's best interest, that are in their own best interest, in their party's best interest, that and in their friends' best interest, right? So we can take a look at the Maxwell and Epstein situation, and we can expand upon that and say it wasn't really a conspiracy; it was just a few wink, wink, nudge, nudges. But all of a sudden, we hid human trafficking and trafficking of young girls for a couple of
Yeah.
decades. We didn't hold people that were participating in it accountable. They're going to be dead by the time they actually are get up to where they're going to be accountable, and that's the thing. So it doesn't necessarily take a de facto conspiracy for it to be a horrible event and a cooperative event,
Well,
right?
people just have to
That's how
kind of like
I
look
see
the
it.
other way on stuff. And that's what I think happened with this one. Like people just looked away. Like people knew Epstein was mixed up in like some shady business like over a decade ago. Like he was brought to court in Florida over it. And that case got sealed for some stupid reason. And which makes people like freak out about conspiracy theories, right? And like enough people have to just be like, okay, or like be like, that doesn't seem right, but I'm not gonna like poke the bear here, right? Like,
Yeah. They're not as skeptical as me, and they're not as angry at the government as I am. That's all I can tell you. It's like there's again, it's this interesting thing. Like we get into, and again, Epstein's a perfect example of how we want to talk about a conspiracy and we want to dismiss people who are thoughtful in that and presenting evidence as kooks. And it happens kind of all too often. And libertarians in general, guys, you guys know this out there. We get written off as crazy kooks all the time. And we do our best to present real evidence, and people still don't actually. They're still like, I think you're a conspiracy theorist. Like I say something like, weed is not legal enough for me. Okay, it's now controlled by the government. It's practically owned by the government. It's practically a tool for the government to fill its coffers. Not practically, it is in fact. And people go, Tim, you're silly. You're just silly. That is
yeah, right.
crazy.
Yeah, no.
They do it. It's like, but look at it. Look at the structure of the way weed was legalized, bro. It's totally. They literally $10 million. Kathy Holtz raised $10 million at a dinner that was attended by the future experts in the weed field. Okay, the people that want to pursue licensing, the people.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean,
not
like, it's fine.
This
Like,
is
I've
what
talked to
happened.
folks about that, like, and they're like, yeah, it should be limited to just like the players who know what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, it's right. So you want to you want to create a cartel, cool, all right, like that's what's going to happen here. But it'll have the sanction of the state, and that's unfortunately what's occurred with marijuana. And I mean, so like again, most of the stuff I think is there are occasionally like actual conspiracies that get pulled off, right? Like I'm not denying that, right? Again, we see Epstein stuff. We see like the stuff that happened with the war on drugs. Most of the time, I think most politicians think they're doing the right thing. They honestly, I think most
No.
of them think they're like, I am saving all of you. Like, if it weren't for my brilliance, you guys would be just like eating chairs and killing each other. Like, you wouldn't even know what to do. You wouldn't know how to survive.
Okay,
I
but you
think,
said it right there. You said something about eating chairs or something. What did you say there?
oh,
Like if
eating
it was,
chairs and killing each other.
yeah,
This.
that's how they think, though. That we are the stupid ones. They're not narcissists. They're actually our parents, even though they're horrible parents, right? That's how
Yeah.
they think. And so basically, I don't think that we disagree. I think the word conspiracy theorist gets tossed around like lightly, like okay, QAnon stuff, like the Wayfair thing. Like that's like, okay, I'm not really buying that. Maybe I should.
Well,
I
that's
don't
stuff
know.
happen. Well, I'll mention this every once in a while too, like the COINTELPRO stuff. Like that was real. That happens. Like that was like actually legit. There's something that the FBI was trying to undermine the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Turned
And
out to be true.
they come up with great names for stuff that like that Cloud Strike
COINTELPRO.
narrative. I don't know if you remember that, but that was going back to the Ukrainian fiasco and the
Oh
Cloud
yeah, yeah,
Strike
yeah.
something in the I don't know. They come up with great names for this stuff. So it's like I don't know. Some of it I just don't know. It could be totally like a bogus sales job, right?
Yeah. Anyway, this wasn't the intent to talk about all this. Uh, well, we could. Do you want to talk about that one? You're
I
putting
do.
Jared's
That's why
comment
I
on
put it
Facebook
up,
admitting
man.
that fact checkers are opinions in court. Yeah, I mean that's
They
fact. That is opinion. There we go.
Yeah, and the British I read an article this week, Kevin, and I was gonna try to play it off as fake news, but let's dump it out there. From the British Medical Journal, okay, they are incensed that Facebook fact checked one of their stories about the Moderna data collection process. Okay, they're incensed because they're a reputed long-standing medical journal with repute. So what I read, I
Yeah.
use the word repute like 7 times. Sorry, but they're important. They've done good work for decades and maybe generations. Okay, and Facebook hits them with this lead stories fact check, and they're like, okay, whoever's doing that fact check, that's not a fact check. That's like they're offering their opinion, and their opinion's garbage. We're like doctors, and we do doctor stuff, and we review data stuff. So like knock it off, Facebook. And they're literally like considering legal action against Facebook. But Facebook
Yeah, I
issued
mean,
a
like
correction.
a few are right, like
Yeah.
like John Stossel's suing Facebook because they made their fact check of one of his videos, like it made some claims about what he said that weren't true. It was like a climate change video where they said like, oh, he's a climate change denial list or whatever, and he's like, no, actually, I said it was about the forest fires in California. He's like, no, I said it was state management and climate change that those caused it. And then like Reason got hit with another one recently too.
Right.
I saw the article about that where like they're doing a thing about like the CDC using the study of masks in elementary school settings, and the study was like not very good. So they're talking about how the study that they used to come to that decision was not very good. And then they got hit with a fact check, and all their if you posted that story, it would get, excluded from the algorithm. They'd put a big like block over it that says like this story contains false information, but
Yeah.
it wasn't true. It's just like criticizing like one of the studies the CDC uses. And yeah, like that's what kills me about some of the Facebook fact checks, which is I always like kind of take it. It's not that everything that Facebook fact checks is wrong, right? Like some people kind of use it as a barometer, like, oh, if Facebook is like talking about this, it must be true, and they're just trying to hide it. Like not necessarily. Sometimes
I
it's
gotta
stupid stuff,
right. We're gonna
but
meet in the middle here, but I gotta say that I've read some Facebook fact checks that are total garbage. Okay, they're total op-ed garbage that I would literally call propaganda if I didn't know better. They're
oh, sure.
horribly
No, hey,
done.
I get you. And again, I see that every once in a while from the Facebook stuff, from the Snopes stuff. I'm like, all right,
Snopes
like
too,
this is
yeah.
yeah, like this isn't really like a fact check. Like you're
This is
reading you're reading what it is, and you're like, oh, so this thing actually is true. You just like don't like one part of it, and so you're gonna label this whole thing false. Okay, like that's not done in good
You don't
faith.
like that he capitalized the first sentence, and so you think he's illiterate? Come
Yeah.
on, man, you gotta do better than that if you're gonna be checking facts. I mean, some of it was so what I'm trying to think of the word in my brain, but I'm not getting it, so I apologize. But it's just so dicey and so cheesy and such like just opinion that
Yeah.
they're putting out
Whatever.
there.
Yeah. Again, my solution to all this is like just remember to keep thinking for yourself. Don't let Facebook do the thinking for you. Don't let stupid memes do the thinking for you either. Like not
Oh,
yeah, folks. I
I'm
hate
a
to
big
break this to you, but
fan.
not everything you read on the internet is true. Like this is gonna come as a shock to several of you, but not everything you read on the internet is true. Sometimes like
There's always this grain of truth in most of it though, and I find memes profound and like
yeah.
I'm again,
Tim believes any meme you send him. You want him to believe, put it in meme format, and
yeah.
like Tim will be like, "Yes, like this is my next show." All right.
Oh, come on, you're killing me, man. I'm not quite that bad, but I do honestly find good memery. I find a certain amount of profundity and a certain amount of interest in a well done meme. Okay, like they can get people thinking they can hit you with that conundrum where you've got to come up with not the A answer, not the B answer, not the liberal answer, not the conservative answer, but that C answer where people are like gotta kind of think for themselves. And so memes are fun. I love them.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's hit Williams thing really quick before
Yeah.
we have to go to break in a couple minutes. Talking about ballot access, so that was a huge thing for like those of us living in New York State, right? Like, and this kind of like the ball kind of gotten rolling on this like way back in like 2019. Like I swear we started me and Andrew started talking about this when like we were still doing shows in the studio, and it was called Radio Free New York. Like it played out over a long time, but basically uh Andrew Cuomo kind of unilaterally changed the ballot access rules in New York State. So instead of the Libertarian Party and the Green Party having ballot access because of how they performed in the 2018 election, it ended up getting based on the 2020 election results.
Mhm.
And because of that, the Libertarian Party and the Green Party lost ballot access in 2020 because they didn't get enough votes on the presidential election. And now it's much harder to get on the ballot than it was in 2018.
And I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist here, Kevin, but concurrent to that, at the same time, they granted themselves $100 million worth of public financing to finance their campaigns.
Free money.
I mean, I'm just saying, do I sound like a conspiracy theorist or not? I feel like maybe I do.
I think Cuomo was trying to go after the working family. He didn't even care about like we're collateral damage. Like that's
True.
that's right. He was trying to get the working families party and he didn't quite get him. But yeah, no, it's like an actual like my criticism of conspiracy theories doesn't preclude terrible government policy that's like self-centered and around like creating entrenched bureaucracies and systems of power for
generational wealth for psychopaths.
All right, but we got to go to break though, right?
All
so
right.
Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. All right. That's
bonus content for you
bonus
internet
content,
viewers. Yeah. I love it, man. This show's rolling, brother. This is good.
Right. We gotta make sure we talk about like the inflation stuff. We haven't really talked about COVID stuff yet.
Yeah, the inflation stuff, that's like a serious one. We could talk about how though we can turn it into a free for all Friday about some of the opinions about inflation. Oh my God, they're out there all over the place.
Yeah,
like, inflation is good for you. Like, whoa, man, holy 1984, man, knock it off. You're killing me.
Maybe it's good for someone.
It's I mean, I know who it's the best for, and I'm going to say it on this show.
You're gonna get us canceled, Tim. I don't know what you're gonna say. I'm just assuming it's gonna get us canceled.
No, it's not that bad. It's a typical. We're already labeled as anti-government extremists. I'm just going to point something out about who benefits the most from inflation.
Yeah, probably. Well, we'll see what you say, right? But
right.
All right.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think it's a fact. And I can make the case economically. I'll back it up. Don't you worry. And you'll actually.
You agree. You give me some evidence. That's all I ask. Give me some evidence.
Evidence. I'm giving you my strongly worded opinion. That's better.
Right. Yeah. Just spout your opinion into the internet, and you'll find people that agree with you.
That's right.
Justifying someone's priors. All right. So we'll go back at 30 minutes, right? We'll just yeah. So be live again at 40. All right. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. Thanks for joining us here on WYSL or WACK out in Newark, or any of the places we're broadcasting online, the Free Solution Facebook page, YouTube channel, Tim O'Connor pages, Kevin Wilson pages, podcast, whatever you're listening today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Appreciate y'all. We're doing kind of a year in review thing. We promise that we're going to do some fake news Friday at the end too. But All right, we do have to talk about. We're going to talk about the inflation thing next, right? So
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that we are experiencing just out of the blue, right? After the COVID lockdown and the $1 trillion budget stimulus, it's just amazing to me that we're experiencing the worst inflation that we've experienced in 3 decades. The
no
government,
economists saw this coming. I, I
no,
I read this on a meme, and no economist saw this coming, Tim.
they, I
Out of
created a
nowhere.
meme. I created a meme that said, "Welcome back, stagflation. You kids never knew, like you missed it." And I'm telling you, so I don't know, it wasn't that good. It was just one of my morning rants before I drive off to work. But literally, we're heading in, probably could be heading into a period of stagflation. We do have certain ways of controlling stagflation that we didn't have back then. That because pretty, the government's pretty willing to abuse their monetary power, so that could help.
Thank you, government.
God,
Thank you
thank
for
you,
saving us
government.
after putting us in this situation.
Yeah. So the best stuff about honestly, the best stuff about inflation is how ridiculous people that I want to say would be on the left side of the spectrum went right to, hey guys, guess what? Inflation's really good for you. You 99 percenters should love inflation. And it's like, okay, look, I get backfilling for your favorite authoritarian a little bit, but that was like literally crazy town. Okay. We're dancing, we're walking down into Insaneville and we are pulling up at the local bar because that stuff was nuts.
It's good for someone, right?
Just
Someone.
say it. It's
Yeah.
it
No.
is. You want to know who it's good for?
Okay.
I
You tell
got this
me.
one, man.
All right. All
All right.
right. What is
So
it?
if you imagine an entity that has structured obligations that they pay out that are basically a Ponzi scheme, right? If you imagine an entity that has huge, bloated, massive debt to foreign companies, if you imagine an entity that can basically collect its revenue at the point of a gun, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entity that benefits the most from inflation. So, I mean, if you want to guess what entity I'm pointing my stubby, angry libertarian finger at, feel free.
All right. So maybe someone who issues, those treasury bonds out to all of us. Like maybe it's a little bit easier to pay it back if there's more money around and they issue the money. That's
And
maybe.
as taxes as so look, as inflation churns, right? Tax receipts will tend to go up. So even Social Security, a structured payout like Social Security,
Yeah.
it gets easier to pay because first of all, the people that are getting Social Security can buy less. But second of all, tax revenue tends to go up with inflation and the devaluation of the dollar. So, in that sense, when we owe China a lot of money, when we owe senior citizens a lot of money, the government in and of itself benefits mightily,
Right. So if you
fairly
have a
from
bunch of
inflation.
debt, it's not necessarily a bad thing to have some inflation. I mean, of course, there's
True.
some trade-offs to that, but but
And the
it makes it
1%
easier to
likes
meet
it.
those. Right. I mean, if you're well positioned to do that, your investments are going up, or you have enough assets that are going to appreciate in value even in the face of inflation, then that's not bad. I mean, if you're middle class and you don't have a lot of that, you're in trouble. So yeah. Oh, I'm in trouble, Tim.
I
Yeah.
know, man. Oh, my strategy's not much better. I went through life paying for cash for everything, and it's like as inflation goes up, it's like some of this money I got in savings is not gonna buy me a truck, and I need a truck right now. It's like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, no,
What is
it's been
happening to truck prices? My God, you guys know this. My truck prices are insane.
yeah. Well, I sold my truck because of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Also because like it was a 2-seater Ford Ranger, and
yeah.
I can't really put a baby in that. Like it's not a
Yeah.
great
No,
like
I get it.
infant vehicle.
It's not a
So,
great family vehicle. You're right about that.
so I was like,
You
all
are.
right, I guess I should get rid of this. So sold that. We got like an SUV type of thing. But like right as like the used car market like just went bonkers because of like the chip shortages and all this other stuff.
You know what? I have another conspiracy theory. One of
Oh
the things that
goodness.
happened when Obama bought back all those cars from people to get them to buy new cars, and They bought all the unused inventory from the car manufacturers, and they dumped them into the ocean. We set ourselves up for this.
Dumped them into the ocean?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Oh, I'm gonna have to
Oh
look this
my
up now. I'm
God,
gonna
you're gonna have
we
to
have
look
to do a
this.
fact check for Fake News Friday
You're
here.
gonna have
Did
to.
they dumped them not
They-
just the batteries?
Not just they kept the batteries and they took all the oil out of them and they put them on barges and they rebuilt coral reefs with them. I mean, maybe.
With the new ones? With
But
like
no,
new
no,
like
not
or
yes,
with
the
like the old
unused
ones?
inventory and the cars that they bought from people. Like you could get a $4,000, $5,000 cash
Right. Is
advance
it
or
like cash for
something.
clunkers, right? Like
Yeah,
so
cash for
they
clunkers.
dump those they dump those in the for the like I know it's a thing like that happens, right? Like
Right. Right in the ocean.
yeah, the USS Oriskany, you know, because that's the town that I'm from. Like they scuttled that boat and like made it into a coral reef off of Florida somewhere, right? Like I know it's a thing.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So you're skeptical of like the
I'm
USS
skeptical of my own
Oriskany
conspiracy
sinking,
theories.
but
That's
the cars. Well, we're gonna do a fact check in between the break here. Like it's,
all right.
I'm gonna see if that's fake news or not.
Should I have saved that for fake news? Probably
Maybe
should've. I'm getting ahead of
what
myself.
I gotta know. Well, you know, but like I mean, it was a thing though, right? Like that happened. Obviously, the cash for clunkers, and you got to think that like. I mean, we tend to do. We want to do a year in review, and we're talking about a policy that's like a decade and a half old.
I know.
but anyway, you know, like it did happen, and like I don't think it was necessarily a good policy, because if you're concerned about like the carbon impact of like vehicle production, like having a vehicle that's on the road for a long time is sometimes better than constantly buying a new, you know, fuel efficient electric vehicle or whatever,
Might
or
even might
hybrid
be
vehicle.
better than electric vehicles. Might be.
Yeah, just like the carbon cost of production is something that wasn't really factored into this. And we're going to see more of that as like New York State, which I think this happened this year, where they're requiring all vehicles to be electric by, what is it, 2035? So we'll see. I mean, I got my electric bike now. I'm good. Like I don't need a real car. It's fine.
You listen, the Segway guy, that guy knew. I'm telling you, we're all going to be riding Segways and be happy for it, man. Like, that's it.
Heck yeah. All right.
Because
So
we got to use roads, man. We got to use roads no matter what.
I'm going to go off-roading. I'm a rebel.
No off-roading.
No off-roading. Only on the roads approved by governments.
Yep.
Fine.
That they can tax you on.
That they can tax. All right, cool. No free riders. Got it.
Yep.
All right.
No using the air or anything like that.
So real quick, we have like 90 seconds left. Other big events that happened in 2021. I mean, all the COVID stuff. I think we've successfully avoided talking about COVID. Like,
thank goodness for one show. My God, are we going to talk about it now?
No, probably no. We're gonna skip it. But you know, like thing like we didn't get to talk about like the January 6th stuff and like the crazy thing that actually happened at that event, plus like the bizarre reaction that happened on the left related to it, right? Like,
oh yeah. We
didn't get to talk to any of that stuff, right?
Worst insurrection ever. I don't know. Should I say that out loud? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if
I was like, I mean, like there are definitely some like weirdos who like. I don't know what they're planning there, right? But and then,
the Fed guy, man, there's a Fed guy that's at the heart of so many of these things. I don't think it's conspiracy theory, Kevin. I saw him on Twitter. He was all over on people's phones and stuff like that. He's not even indicted. This guy, I can't remember his name.
No. Okay, so also, yeah, I'm gonna sound like conspiracy, but that is totally a thing too. The FBI foils FBI plot thing. And for you guys who are listening on the internet, I'll talk about that during the break. But we're out of time for this segment of the radio show. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. Happy Friday. When we come back, we're gonna go into Fake News Friday. Talk to you soon. All right, and that's that segment. No, so the FBI foils their own plot thing. Like that's legit. Like I remember arguing with some like newscaster on Twitter about this because it happened in Rochester New Year's Eve, like 3 years ago. There's this dude who was accused of like trying to like bring a machete and like cut up a bunch of people at a local bar during the New Year's Eve party, right? Like a bar that's like a half a mile from my house, right? And who I know the owner of. Um, and so like this dude was supposedly going to go do this thing. He'd kind of like he'd hung out there. And as like people start digging into the plot of like, well, what happened? Why did he get here? Who he's an Islamic extremist. He liked ISIS, whatever. But like you figure out like this dude was basically like quasi homeless, didn't have any resources, wasn't like at all interested in like getting into like the Islamic extremism thing
Right.
until FBI agents started talking to him, trying to radicalize him. Didn't actually have like the money or like wherewithal to go and like get any weapons to carry out the plot. So the FBI agent had to go drive this dude to Walmart, buy his machete for him,
No
and
way.
then like drove him back. And then like when he said like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take the machete and actually do the thing you encouraged me to do, that's when they arrested that dude.
Wow. They did that too with some of those purported terrorists, right? Like a couple of high school soccer kids that they prosecuted as terrorists. It was all like they're like this guy came and said we should do this, like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like that, and like again, I was arguing with folks who's like, well, look at him at the trial. He's like, saying all this radical ISIS stuff. I'm like, yeah, but like, who encouraged him to like talk that way? It was
Right.
his FBI handler. Like, he didn't reach this conclusion independently. He was encouraged to like embrace this type of stuff by government agents.
It's just they're here to help, bud. They're here to help.
Yeah, no, apparently. Oh,
So that's the thing where we get into conspiracy theory, or is it just how they behave?
that's that's a good question. Hmm. I'm trying to find your cash for clunkers thing.
All right.
I'll see if I
It's
can
it's suppressed, man. Just like you can't find
suppressed.
hardly anything
Yeah.
about the Weimar Republic on the net, dude.
But you could totally find stuff about them. I got books behind me about
I don't know
that.
what you're talking about. You can't find anything on the internet about the Weimar Republic.
Hey, Ken, well, Weimar Republic, yeah, Germany in the inner warfare. There's a ton of stuff about it. People say the heck out of that because they're like, well, how'd that turn into, suddenly Nazis are in power, right? Like people are,
Right. Well, I get it. I think we should study it more.
yeah. Oh no, for sure. I mean, there's some great stuff on it. Like, there's some really good podcasts on it from like leftists that I totally disagree with on a lot of stuff. It's the show Behind the Bastards does a really good like covering of that. Um, they really hate like they're the type who would like bash liberals from the left if that gives you an indication of like what their politics are. Like if
They're
you ever
like,
start
yeah,
like listening to
commies.
someone who's like, yeah, I hate liberals, and you're like, oh, are you a Republican? No. They're like, oh, okay, so that's probably a communist.
Yeah.
They're
Commies.
really far out there. But like the actual history that they do was pretty good. All right. Hmm. All right. Well, I couldn't find anything about
So we
the
have to put it in
ocean.
the it's plausible. I don't think I
So,
made it up. I don't think
well,
I did.
like the answer is like, yeah, it's maybe right. Like
Yeah.
there were a lot of really negative environmental impacts of that, like from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Because not all those cars got recycled. A lot of them, like, they end up in junkyards, and not all of them were like prepped properly to like go into junkyards. So there's like oil leaking from some of them, and like so like we go into it during the show. You want to go back at 45?
Sure.
It's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor, talking about some fake news today. And, and I'm going to go first because I had to look this up over the break, whether or not Tim's statement about us dumping cars into the ocean was fake news or not. I couldn't find anything about it. If you guys find anything about like us dumping the Cash for Clunkers cars in the ocean, you let me know. I couldn't find that. Now, that's not to say that the Cash for Clunkers program didn't have a negative environmental impact, though, because in theory, like some of these are supposed to be recycled and repurposed, right? But a lot of these cars, they just kind of ended up in landfills, and some of
Look, it's plausible, man.
it is plausible, right? Like I'm reading the impact of like how some of these ended up in landfills, and like they weren't always like disposed of properly. So there's like oil leaks and gasoline leaks, and like metals that were leaching into the environment that maybe you don't want leaching into the environment. So a lot of these cars, like again, besides the carbon impact, and because that's happening, it is plausible that some of these were being dumped into the ocean too, because that's what does unfortunately happen with some garbage in the United States, is it does end up in our water systems, and that's terrible. But so yeah, it's possible that the Cash for Clunkers program ended up having a negative environmental impact in many ways. So we'll treat that as the first fake news item. It's that.
And
plausible.
It's rated as plausible. We're fact check. We should contract to Facebook for fact checking services.
I think we're doing more accurate. I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know we would be for sure. I guaranteed it.
So do you have another fake news item, or you want me to go to one of the ones I prepped for this?
I got one.
All right, go ahead.
I got one, and I don't know. This one's gonna be a tough one. All right. The Biden administration insists Americans are better off now than when Trump left.
I believe. Okay.
They didn't declare it or proclaim it. They insisted.
They insisted.
Yes.
It's a different level. I believe that they insisted that. I don't believe that it's true. I believe they insisted that.
They did. They are, as we know, they're going back through and trying to reinvent their image, and certainly there's willing participants in the media who will say, oh, what the president did there wasn't so bad because inflation is good for the 99%, for example, or whatever. So yes, the Biden administration is in fact insisting that they are better off now than they were under Trump. And look, guys, we weren't in that great a shape under Trump. He did open the faucet on this crazy spending. He certainly had chances to stand and use his executive power to stand against this overwhelming reactive nature that I see in our current legislative bodies. Okay. And he didn't. So, and this overspending, this zealous overspending that's going on, that is going to probably have repercussions for years. So we were not in great shape. I don't care what anybody says, but he's sure that we are in better shape now than we were under Trump. They don't mention inflation. They don't really going to talk about.
It's one of those things. Like you can spin stats to do what you want, right? Like
I
expect politicians to to do this, right? So like when they say something like this, I'm like, all right, like you're gonna need to show me evidence, or I'm not gonna believe it. Two, if you look at certain things, right, like pausing student loans, for some folks, like that helped in the short term. You pause your student loans, you get a stimulus check. Like, okay, like in the short term, like you're doing better, right? But like between lockdowns, inflation, and like a whole bunch of other stuff, like and in fact, like there are some studies that suggest that like globally, like poverty increased this year, which has not actually happened for a while. Like poverty has been going down dramatically over the last like 3 decades. But the average income for the people in the bottom 40% of global income was 6.7% lower than before the pandemic. And the top 40% was actually down 2.8% overall. So like, but everyone across the spectrum is getting slightly poorer over the last couple of years. And like that it includes the US.
Who's not surprised by that?
Yeah. That's part of what it is. All right. So I'm gonna, again, that's a real assertion, but probably fake news.
10-4. I agree. It is a real assertion. It's a real insistence. And I also would rate it as fake news.
Yeah. All right. Let me read one. I got a meme for you, right? I know you love your memes, right? Like you tell me real news, fake news. NASA just hired 24 theologians to assess how the world would react if we discovered alien life. And I have a feeling that the subplot in the season finale of 2021 is playing the seeds for the main storyline of 2022. Now, that first part, the NASA hiring 24 theologians, that real news or fake news?
NASA hiring 20. Well, the
to see
government
how
is
we'd
a make
react if they discovered alien life.
the government is a make work project. The government is ever I'm gonna okay, this is real. They did it because the government wants they want to be in the religion game. They see profit there. So it's real news.
It's real news that they hired these theologians to assess how people would do with discovering alien life.
They did it. It's true, right?
Yeah, it is true. So
Oh my God.
they hired folks from the Center of Theological Inquiry. Apparently, it's not the first time they've done it. They did a whole thing back in like 2006 related to this too. And yeah, they're just like, how are world religions going to react if like we suddenly find aliens? Now, I don't know if they're doing this now because like they know something, right?
I actually first of all, we've probably been being ruled by aliens for a couple decades now because the world's just getting so
Are we
crazy.
gonna go down like the lizard people like conspiracy
I
theory?
honestly want to talk about that one of these days. Are we? I mean, I'm just saying, every day it seems to be more plausible that we are actually
Oh my
being ruled
god.
by aliens and lizard people. I'm cold-blooded lizard people. I'm just
Cold
saying it's possible. That's all.
cold blood. All right, yeah, all right.
Who are able to almost disguise themselves as human beings. Almost. Guys, I did not kill myself if this is how this plays out. I want to be
This
clear.
is
If the lizard people get really mad at me, I didn't Epstein
yeah.
myself.
No, they're totally listening to a free solution. Like, oh man, Tim O'Connor, Tim the Freedom
The
Variant
freedom
O'Connor's
variant.
on to us.
I'm
We
pretty big on
must
TikTok
silence
too.
him. That's yep. Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. Right? Like it's out. The truth is out there now. Tim said it. You can't put that
Can't
back in the
take that
bottle.
back. Yep.
Yeah. No. So like that. Now we know, right? Like that's.
Alien lizard people are I mean, that's it's plausible at this point. That's all I'm saying.
Simple.
This-
All right. Do you have another one or no
uh,
idea?
I I had an article that I really wanted to an opinion piece that I wanted to talk about, and I'm trying to think of how to frame it. But Reason, one of the quintessential premier unbiased opinion, offered a please stop calling it a pandemic of the unvaccinated. They back it up with some articles from the Atlantic, which might surprise some people, but they're saying at least stop saying it, and for the most part, that it's factually ludicrous. What do you think? Real
Uh,
news, fake news?
I think I just looked at the Facebook fact check for that, and it says it's fake news. So
So,
like that's all I trust.
yeah, is it lead stories?
uh,
It's yeah. Go ahead.
yeah,
What do you
yeah.
think?
I haven't read that one yet. It's actually in one of the 40,000 tabs that I have open right now. Um, but yeah, it does seem like all right. We're at a point in the pandemic where it's there's still some evidence to suggest that if you're vaccinated, it provides better protection, but it doesn't provide as good of protection as people hoped for the Alpha variant. You got the Omicron variant now. Folks are getting, no matter what. It's again, there's still, I, there's still benefits to being vaccinated. Just to say is that a pandemic of the unvaccinated is a bit misleading.
It's
And I was
it's
joking about the Facebook thing, but like it probably is actually being fact checked by them.
I mean,
It would
Facebook
surprise me.
has basically admitted to what the BMJ has asserted, that they don't know if some of their fact checking contractors are actually fact checkers or opinion op-ed generators. So they've admitted it, and they admitted it in court.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a link to that, because in case you double check me. But I'm telling you, we dumped those cars in the ocean, bud.
Dump this car. You find me the link. I'll post it on the Free Solution page. I'll post it on the Kevin Wilson page. I'll
I
post it
don't
everywhere. I'll
got
tag you. I'll be
nothing
like,
to
look,
you, kid.
Tim O'Connor was right. We are dumping cars in the ocean.
Were
At least we're right. Maybe not are anymore, but we're dumping
guys.
cars. We'll see.
This is how weird I am. I was so hoping all like GMC and Ford were going to go out of business back during that Cash for Clunkers fiasco. They built a bunch of unsellable inventory, and instead of making them suffer the consequences of their own bad behavior, we bought cars for everybody. It was ridiculous,
It's
man.
for the environment, Tim. Why do you hate the earth?
Exactly. Why do you hate the earth? I don't know. I don't feel like I do hate the earth. There are parts, pieces, things on the earth that rub me the wrong way. I don't really, and hate's always too, it's like, I don't really hate anything, man. I go through life kind of laughing and working hard and enjoying time like this, where I get to express my opinions and discuss and interact with a whole myriad of people. And really at the end of the new year, like or at the beginning of this next year, I got to thank the people that have offered me support for my endeavors, guys like Kevin, guys like Larry, the Free Solution. When I do a live and people come on that obviously are at least as crazy as me, maybe more crazy, like I got to thank everybody. Guys like Jared Anderson, who was in the audience today. He did it. He's done a couple of shows with me, and Kevin, I don't know if you saw our show, but
Yeah.
he's interesting. He's brilliant. He got to and we ran out of time, but he was gonna be like, he was gonna explain how gentrification is a good thing, and you and I got to discuss it at length better.
Yeah,
And
about that.
yeah,
All right.
it was good.
That was nice. All right. So yeah, we are out of time though for the show. Again, happy New Year, folks. Thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you for giving both of us this opportunity to do this. This is a lot of fun, and we hope you're having fun too. Thanks for joining us on A Free Solution. Happy New Year. Talk to you in 2022. Take care. And we're out on the radio show.
All right, guys, and Kevin. I probably should have gave you a little time to thank everybody. I mean, this is a blast for me. This is like a
Yeah.
lifelong dream kind of deal where, I mean, it would be better if I was making like, Ferrari kind of money or Tesla kind of money. I just want a Tesla, but
Eventually.
it still is great to be recognized and appreciated and to have fun with this stuff.
Yeah, it's a good time. So yeah, thanks everyone who listening tonight, and we appreciate it. It's good. We get to go on here and chat about stuff and have a little fun. And
so check this out. Jared posted this link on my page of how to make $1 million being a blogger, right? And so we're gonna have to try it. I sent you the link. Did you check it out? Where you basically just do some copy pasta and we just fill in words and stuff like that, and then you draw the words out of an envelope and you come up with a whole storyline. And I think first of all you'd be good at it. I know Jared would be good at it, and I think I would we'd have a blast with this.
there you go.
Make up a headline and riff off on it.
Yeah, let's do it.
A
good time. Well, and we'll post the blogs eventually. If I ever get to working on a freesolution.com, there we go. We have some good blogs ready to go there, right?
Yeah. Guys, thank you all very much. I gotta go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow, man. Deadlines, end of the year stuff.
Just
Then
skip it, man.
Yeah.
Well, capitalism is trying to keep you down. And
listen, if I didn't have to pay taxes, I could have taken I could be like, you know what? I don't need this job tomorrow because I'd be fine. But property taxes are coming up next month. Bubble-am.
Yeah.
I got bills to pay on my house. Capitalism roped me into taking out a mortgage on this place I live in.
Darn it, capitalism. No, taxation is theft. Well, we didn't get one of the things I want to do for fake news. You probably saw this. Does the IRS make you report gains from theft as taxable income?
Oh, I saw it. I didn't even get a chance to read it. It just looked hilarious to me.
Yeah. They do. No, that's a real thing.
So they could prosecute you for tax evasion.
Yeah, no, that's totally what they just so they can Al Capone you, right? That's why, because then that's another avenue for the feds to go after you. Well, you're making an income somehow, and we're gonna find out, by doing an audit if you're not paying your taxes on whatever that income is.
I got a word of warning for you black market weed sellers, man. I think that tax evasion is a very serious crime, and now that it's legalized, what you're doing is evading taxes and licensing, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the big deal.
That's gonna be That's why I posted that clip from Batman where Joker pays his taxes because he'll mess with Batman, but not the IRS.
Joker is smart, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. We should call it a night though. Been a good hour. There we go.
God, I'd love to do this more. Maybe in the coming new year, I will have a prolonged break, and I will do day after day of this.
Sounds like a good time. All right.
You'll have to buy coffee mugs from me if I do that.
Oh yeah. No, we need to get some. We need to get some Free Solution coffee mugs too. We'll do
Yeah.
that.
Well, free. I was
Freedom-
thinking freedom variant, but okay, free
Freedom
solution.
variant. Well, no, we'll get both. Like, we'll get one of the drop shipping doodads going. I want some coffee mugs, some hats, this flag.
Yeah.
We'll do some merch.
Merch.
Maybe, I don't know. Like I say that. Like, don't. I'm super busy and have a child, so if I don't do that, like, I'm sorry.
If I get some extended time off, I will definitely play around with it for sure. It'll be fun.
Right on. All right. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year, Kevin.
Take care.